That's right, the time has finally come for me to review arguably the greatest game ever made by man. Chrono Trigger. So Chrono Trigger was an RPG that came out in the mid-90s for the Super NES. It's out for a lot of things now. If you want to be legit, get it for the Super NES, awesome. It's also out for the Wii Virtual Console, the PlayStation Network, the Nintendo DS. So if this review convinces you to play it, you have a few ways to get it. This was the RPG that made me go, holy shit, RPGs are awesome. Because it's a time-traveling RPG adventure. You play as Chrono, it's the year 1080. In another unit, it's not like 1080 for us, it's 1080 in this Chrono Trigger world. You run across a girl named Marl, and your friend Luca made this machine, but with Marl's pendant, it actually activates it as a time machine. Then you go through time. Yeah, it sounds like cheesy RPG fun, but there's actually a reason for the pendant to do that, which is actually pretty cool. This is a tough review. How do I illustrate how awesome Chrono Trigger is in one video? I could spend, honestly, 7 hours talking about how awesome Chrono Trigger is. I'm gonna try to do it in one video. First thing, I like the characters. The characters in Chrono Trigger are awesome. They're the best. Every era of time you go through, you pick up another character. It's one of those things when you're picking your party, you pick your three and you're like, yeah, well, I don't want to leave those guys out. Do you think they're sad? Do you think they're hurt that they're not part of the party? Which makes me sound and feel like an idiot, but that's just how you feel because all the characters are awesome. This game attaches you to the characters and makes them relatable, makes them relevant, makes them people by using the tactic of giving you character-specific missions to do that really seal the bond between you and these characters. And Mass Effect 2 did that. Any game that has an assortment of characters that wants you to care about those characters will probably use that tactic. I was just surprised at how personally I cared about these characters. You'd be surprised how much you can care about 7 sprite-based characters in an RPG from the mid-90s. The battle system in this game isn't random like Final Fantasy game. You can see the characters in this one. You're like, oh, maybe I want to get around them. Maybe I just don't want a random fight today. And the spells, not only are the spells cool, this is my favorite magic system. This one's like, you're dark magic, you're lightning magic, you're water magic. Everyone has their magic and they build their magic. I like that system. Might be because this is the first RPG I played, and so now I'm attached to that system. Doesn't change the fact that I now want that system for everything. But in a world of collaboration, you have dual text and triple text. That's right, Chrono can be in a party with Marl, and eventually Chrono can cross magic with Marl. It takes at both of their turns. The idea is you pump out more damage in less time. And then you can do triple text. 3 people can combine all their magic to do one powerful thing. I had never seen that before in a game. Not saying it's never happened in a game before, I just never seen it. I was like, holy shit! What? And that was one of the drawbacks in Chrono Cross for me. Chrono Cross did have dual text, technically, but it had so many characters, it didn't have a lot of dual text. It was just like one cross/dual text among a lot of characters, and another one here, another one there. And this one's like, here's a bunch of dual text. Any combination of characters you have in your party, you're gonna get a lot of dual text. You have to earn them, but you get them. And it being a time travel game, it's not just a time traveling game where you go through different eras of time and that's that. It's a time traveling interactive game. You do something in one era and it might just affect something in another era. Usually it's story-based, so it makes sense. But you find these magic boxes at first, you don't know how to open them, and then you unlock them with a pendant. Or you can activate it in the past with a pendant and then go to the future and open it, and it's a better item now because the pendant charged it and it made the item better. What? Super Nintendo did that shit! The world's exploding. That's why Super Nintendo's great. Granted, they don't always deal with time in the way that I think time would work. It's all theoretical, but I'm just saying. Like example, and this is going to be a spoiler. There's going to be spoilers in this video. I'm going to start talking about some of the story elements that I love because I can't not talk about Zeal. I can't do that. So short version, go play Chrono Trigger if you've never played it. Go. Then come back and watch this video. For the rest of you who love Chrono Trigger, let's talk more about that shit. One of the things that didn't make sense to me is you're in the year 1000 with Marl. Marl goes back to the year 600 and then you go back to get her and they're like, oh, you're the queen because she looks just like the queen, and then they call off the search for the queen because the queen went missing because she was kidnapped. Because they called off the search because they found Marl, the queen was killed, and then Marl is like, oh, what's happening? She disappeared. I know some people are gonna be like, she's Marley or Marley, or I call her Marl because that's just kind of how it's spelled. It's how it's pronounced in English. Anyhow, if the fact that I call her Marl pisses you off, you're gonna have to deal with that because I'm gonna call her that in this video. Then Chrono's like, oh shit, I gotta go get her. But it wouldn't be like that. It was just if she was killed in the past and Chrono would just wake up in the fair and never run into her because he never ran into her because she never existed. It would kind of be like that. You wouldn't be like, oh, she disappeared, she vaporized, I gotta go find her. And I have all the memories of knowing her. Again, theoretical, I just don't think it would work like that. All right, so the spoilers are gonna come in now because one of the coolest characters in history is Magus. Little recap, in the year 2300, it's the future and it's shitty and it's dead and everything's wasted and you're like, what happened? You find out in the year 1999, this thing called Lavos came out of the ground and just obliterated the world. And you're like, where did he come from? Oh, this Magus guy in the year 600 AD, he created him. Let's go back and take it out. You already know Magus is bad because he turned frog into frog. Like at first, the character Frog that you get in 600 AD, he was actually Glenn, he was a guy, and then he went up against Magus with his partner and his partner was killed and he was turned into a frog. Turning a guy into a frog and then creating Lavos? Who is this madness? Let's take him out. So you meet Magus, and sure enough, he's doing this seance thing, and Lavos is there, and you're like, Magus, we've come to stop you. And you can tell he turns around, and he's like, you guys are idiots, and you're gonna die today. So after the fight with Magus, the game goes on. Point is, we get to Zeal now. And this is when the game becomes one of the greatest games ever made. Zeal is like Soul Reaver 2. There's not a lot of action that happens in it. It happens, but there's not a lot of it, but it's informative. It's informative with story. You see this girl named Shala. Shala is actually one of the greatest characters ever. Because her theme is amazing. Holy shit, I haven't talked about the music yet? All right, Shala's theme is amazing in this game, and the Chrono Trigger soundtrack as a whole is the shit. It's why games have great soundtracks. One of those soundtracks you get, you're like, that's why games are great. Again, everyone has a theme, and that's what I like about this game. You hear a song, and it takes you to a place and time in this game. You hear that theme, and you're like, that is when I'm talking to them in the end of time, and it has their theme, and it's playing, it's badass. This Kingdom of Zeal is like floating islands. It's like the islands of Pandora and shit, like waterfalls coming off of it. It's really pristine. People on the ground below, like not on the floating islands, they're treated as second-class citizens. And there's this princess named Shala and her little brother Jahns. And then there's this mysterious Oracle who's like, dude, get them out of there. Those kids aren't welcome here. They're gonna ruin everything. You're like, Oracle, I don't know who you are, but you're a douche. And then you find out in the Kingdom of Zeal, the queen is just dicking out, and she takes her daughter Shala to sap Lavos' power. It all goes to shit. Point is, everyone gets sucked into vortexes, and Chrono gets obliterated, and you gotta go through time and bring him back. Dude, I'm telling you, this game is badass. Point is, when all of that shit happens, and Shala is there, that Oracle turns around, throws his cloak off. It's the Magus. He's like, Lavos, you have no idea how long I've been waiting for this shit. And you feel it. You're like, why? Wait, are you not a dick? Are you trying to kill Lavos? What's happening? And then it goes to shit again, and everyone gets sucked into vortexes, and the little kid Jahns gets sucked into a vortex and goes to the year 600-ish AD. I say ish because by the year 600 AD, he needs to be the grown-up version of him, the Magus. And you're like, the Magus wasn't bad. Well, I mean, yeah, he's an asshole. He is a dick. He's little Jahns grown up who just wants to save his family. Little Jahns became a Magus, a master of the dark arts, so he could kill Lavos. That's why in his castle, when he was summoning Lavos there and you interfered, he's like, really? Really with this shit? Interfered with his revenge. This thing took everything from him. Least you could have done is been like, you know what? Yeah. Go for it. But nope, in your arrogance, in your hastiness, you're like, nope, Magus, you were the bad guy. You have no backstory, you have no past, we won't understand you. You're just being a dick, so we're gonna take you out. When that went to shit and everyone went to the time when Zeal was prominent, Magus was like, I can pose as an oracle, and I can stop this from ever happening. Holy God, lotto ticket. I can have my life back. Nope, didn't work out. And you can actually go with Frog and talk to him like, Frog, you can kill him, you can get your revenge. But after that, can you really? Granted, in one of your playthroughs, you're gonna kill the Magus just so you can see Frog turn back into Glenn, and then you'll never do it again, ever. You can just tell Magus is like, no matter what I do, I can't stop Lavos. I cannot fix the past. I can't stop what happened from ever happening. I can't save my kingdom from getting destroyed. I will always lose my kingdom. I'll always lose my life. I'll always lose my sister. And you're like, well, damn it. When I was going up against Lavos this time, I was like, it doesn't matter who else is in my party. Magus is going to fight and kill Lavos because no one in my party deserves to do it more than him. And then you do it and you just, it's the greatest shit ever. And this game gave us New Game Plus. I'd never seen New Game Plus before. At the end of the game, you can do New Game Plus. You do New Game Plus, you start the game off again, but everyone is at the level they were when you ended the game before. So it's like, you know, level 60 Chrono. You're basically just tearing through the game to see the story again because nothing's gonna pose a challenge to you at that point. What I love about this game is when you get to the end of time, which isn't too far into the game, you have this little pail, this little bucket right there. You can go to it and you can immediately go right to Lavos and try to kill him. I mean, it's a time traveling game. You know the date in which the catastrophe happens. Logically, you'd be like, why don't we just go there and take it out? So the guy who's caretaking the end of time, he's like, oh, you can right there. If this is your first playthrough, he's gonna kick your balls in through your teeth. But you can try if you want to. So at any point in the game, you can take out Lavos, and depending on where the story is, the ending will be different. Again, first time I'd seen that in the game, and it just took games for me to the next level. In the end, guys, Chrono Trigger, along with Final Fantasy VI, has the best characters in an RPG. It has less characters than Final Fantasy VI, so you feel more personal with them. A great story arc. It has that villain character that actually isn't the villain character. He's just way misunderstood. Who's still an asshole, but you understand. It has great fights. It has a great battle system. In my Final Fantasy VI review, I couldn't definitively choose which one I liked more, Final Fantasy VI or Chrono Trigger. Now that I have played them both very recently in my life, I gotta say, for me, Chrono Trigger wins over Final Fantasy VI by that much. It's that good. I can play it every year. It's like, you know those people that read Lord of the Rings every year? I can play Chrono Trigger every year because Chrono Trigger is awesome-tacular. Guys, it's been a long time coming, and I'm glad I got to do this Chrono Trigger review. So Chrono Trigger, have you played it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.